More than 150 million people in Europe have been hit by an extraordinary late June heatwave. More than 1,300 excess deaths have already been linked to it since June 21st. But the most dangerous part may not be the afternoon high. It may be the block holding heat in place after the sun goes down. As the pattern shifts east and south, that same stalled system will decide what comes next: recovery or another round of dangerous nights, warped surfaces, and health alerts. In this video, you will understand how the Omega-Blocked Heatwave trapped the air, why the nights became so dangerous, and what signal will prove whether this system is breaking or rebuilding. The danger here may not be the hottest afternoon. It may be the night that never cools. The World Meteorological Organization called this an extraordinary heat wave, and that wording matters because it is restrained. It is not trying to make one hot day sound dramatic. It is describing a pattern that broke records across borders, stressed health systems, and kept moving even after some Western areas began to cool. The center of the story is the Omega-Blocked Heatwave. Think of it as a lid over Europe with the stove still on. Once it settled over the continent, the usual escape routes for heat began to close. The block held. A heat wave can ease in one country and still remain dangerous as a system. The map can look better in the West while the danger shifts into Central Europe, Southern Europe, and the Balkans. Picture it less as one temperature number and more as a moving pattern of records, warnings, surface heat, and failed nighttime recovery. Start with France, because France shows why one station record is not enough to explain this. During the event, the country reached a national daily average temperature of 30.0 degrees Celsius on June 24th, the hottest day on record nationally. That is not one thermometer in one hot corner. It is a whole country running hot at the same time. At the earlier peak, 58 French departments reached red alert for heat. Palau reached 43.8 degrees Celsius. By June 30th, the latest Météo France vigilance had eased compared with that peak, but 4 departments were still under orange heat warning. Here's the false relief built into this event. The highest warning level can retreat while enough heat remains to keep danger on the board. Now look north. The United Kingdom provisionally set a June maximum temperature record for a third consecutive day, reaching 37.3 degrees Celsius at Sandownham, Suffolk, on June 26th. Wales reached 35.9 degrees Celsius at Butte Park, Cardiff. During the same night window, Butte Park recorded a 23.5 degrees Celsius minimum, the highest June minimum for the UK and Wales. That nighttime number is the first clue that the object is changing. A hot day gets the headline because it looks more extreme. A hot night changes the event. The block stops behaving like an afternoon heat spike and starts behaving like a recovery problem. Germany shows the same pattern, only deeper. Cochin reached 41.7 degrees Celsius on June 28th. The German Weather Service recorded 252 all-time station records. 46 German stations exceeded 40 degrees Celsius. In East Saxony, the overnight minimum reached 29.4 degrees Celsius. Stay with that number. 29.4 degrees Celsius is not a warm evening. It is a night that barely behaves like night at all. Then Denmark broke the mental map completely. On June 27th, Odom and Beldrange reached 37.0 degrees Celsius, setting a new all-time national temperature record. Denmark is not where most people picture the edge of dangerous European heat, which is why the record matters. The block did not only punish the Mediterranean or the usual hot zones. It pushed heat far enough north to break a national record in a country whose previous mark had stood since 1975. By this point, the record list starts to reveal the system. France, the UK, Germany, the Netherlands, Denmark, and other countries did not all have separate heat stories by coincidence. They were different points under the same blocked pattern, each crossing a different threshold as the heat moved through space and time. So the question becomes physical. What allowed one block to push so many places past their limits? The answer begins above the ground. The Omega-Blocked Heatwave formed around persistent high pressure, arranged in a pattern meteorologists often call an omega block because of its shape in the upper atmosphere. The name matters less than the behavior. Under high pressure, air sinks. As it sinks, it warms and dries. Clouds struggle to form. Storms struggle to mix the air. The sky stays open, and the sun keeps loading heat into the surface, day after day. At the same time, hot air was transported northward from North Africa into Europe. World Weather Attribution reported temperatures in the study region running 5 to 12 degrees Celsius above seasonal averages across France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and southern England. So the block was not only trapping local heat, it was helping pull in a hotter air mass, then slowing its escape. Picture what happens under that pattern. Clear skies let the land heat hard during the day. Weak winds limit ventilation. Sinking air presses down from above. The same ground, roofs, roads, rails, and fields absorb heat again and again. A normal moving heat surge eventually gets interrupted by Atlantic air, clouds, storms, or a front. This one held long enough for heat to recycle. The nights are where that physics turns dangerous. The tropical night threshold is 20 degrees Celsius. That means the temperature does not fall below 20 overnight. WMO health experts put the point plainly. Nighttime is when the body is supposed to recover. During this event, France recorded a national overnight minimum of 22 degrees Celsius. Butte Park recorded 23.5 degrees Celsius. East Saxony reached 29.4 degrees Celsius overnight. A fever that never breaks. When the night stays above that recovery threshold, the body keeps working. Sweating continues. Heart strain continues. Sleep gets worse. Buildings that absorbed heat all afternoon radiate it back into rooms after dark. Older people, people with chronic illness, infants, isolated residents, outdoor workers, and people inside hot apartments without air conditioning become more exposed with every hour. The damage is not only in the peak. It is in the missing pause between peaks. Now at the surface, official air temperature is measured in a controlled way, above the ground and shielded from direct sun. Roads, rails, rooftops, playgrounds, fields, and city walls do not live in that controlled box. Copernicus Sentinel-3 data from June 23 showed land surface temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius in parts of central and southern France and northern Spain. That is not air temperature, and it should never be described that way. But it may be much closer to what asphalt, metal, soil, and city surfaces were actually experiencing. The thermometer reads the air. The road takes the load. That distinction explains why 37 to 40 degrees Celsius air can become a design threshold event. Materials expand when heated. Asphalt softens. Rails can bend. Electrical systems, cooling systems, farms, and transport networks respond to the surfaces they are built on, not only to the official number on a weather graphic. Now the mechanism has reached the ground. In Germany, Reuters reported that the A2 motorway buckled across lanes. In Sweden, rails twisted before a cargo train derailed. Those are not side notes. They are the block leaving a physical mark on infrastructure. The same trapped heat that keeps a bedroom from cooling can also push a road or rail past the point it was built to tolerate. The road, the rail, and the bedroom are telling the same story. The heat that matters is the heat that cannot escape. This is also where the excess death number has to be handled carefully. More than 1,300 excess deaths have already been linked to the heat since June 21st, according to WHO leadership cited by WMO. That is an early signal, not a final toll. Heat deaths often lag the weather itself, because death certificates, hospital data, and excess mortality calculations take time. A region can leave red alert while the health count is still rising. This lag helps explain why false relief is so dangerous here. The UK cooled after the peak. Parts of Western Europe eased. Alerts changed. Those are real improvements, where nights cool, humidity falls, clouds return, and the block breaks. But the system-level test is different. Did the Omega-Blocked Heatwave collapse, or did it shift its danger zone east and south? Italy, the Balkans, Central Europe, and Southeastern Europe matter because the block has not behaved like a local event. The next set of bulletins will tell us where this stands. Heat bulletins for 27 Italian cities, issued by the Ministry of Health on 24, 48, and 72-hour windows, now become part of the system readout. Twice daily updates from Meteo France, at 6 o'clock and 1600 hours Paris time, will show whether Western France keeps easing. Any rebound in the UK will surface first in UKHSA and Met Office alerts. And the continent scale picture still comes from WMO's Regional Climate Center and from Copernicus surface heat products. The next warning map is not just a forecast. It is a readout of whether the block is lifting. There is another layer, and it is easy to get wrong. Every major heat wave brings back the same comparison. This is just normal summer heat, like 1976. It is a fair question, because Europe has had severe heat before, and blocking patterns are not new. Similar circulation can happen in different eras, but the numbers do not support calling this the same event on the same background. World Weather Attribution's rapid assessment found that a similar June heat wave would have been about 3.5 degrees Celsius cooler by day in a 1976 climate. WMO also notes that Europe has warmed by around 2 degrees Celsius since 1976. Same setup, hotter floor. That does not mean climate change alone placed the block over Europe. Weather still matters. The shape of the atmosphere still matters. The timing of high pressure, clear skies, and North African heat transport still matters. The legitimate question is how much of the disaster came from the block circulation, and how much came from the warmer baseline underneath it. Once the baseline is higher, a familiar pattern can produce unfamiliar outcomes. A second explanation sometimes appears around events like this: El Niño. El Niño can affect global weather and global temperature, but the strongest mechanism for this specific European event is more direct. Persistent high pressure held the air in place. North African heat moved northward, and Europe's warmer baseline lifted the starting point before the block ever settled in. There is also a calmer point worth making here. Not every European city is in equal danger right now. Some records are still provisional, waiting on national quality control. The UK cool down is real, but it does not prove the larger system is over. This is not doomsday language. It is a live pattern test. A continent can look cooler on the afternoon map and still fail to cool where it matters most: inside bedrooms, streets, rails, and bodies after dark. Here is the test for the next 48 to 72 hours. If broad alert downgrades, nights below 20 degrees Celsius, and falling land surface temperatures show up, the Omega-Blocked Heatwave is losing its grip. If red or orange alerts return, more 40 degrees Celsius readings show up, or tropical nights persist, the block is not finished. It has only moved. The signals are specific. Western France keeps easing or turns back toward higher warning levels. In the Meteo France vigilance updates at 6 o'clock and 1600 hours Paris time. Level 3 red heat either persists or expands across Italy's major cities. In the Ministry of Health's 24, 48, and 72-hour bulletins. The UK cool down either holds or breaks in the UKHSA and Met Office alerts. The continent scale pattern either breaks or rebuilds in WMO Regional Climate Center and National Service updates. And the surfaces either cool or stay loaded, according to Copernicus and Sentinel products. The useful signal is not only the hottest afternoon number. It is whether the nights fall below 20, whether warnings shrink, whether land surfaces cool, and whether the block stops rebuilding over the next country on the map. If you are in the affected zone, watch the night first. The Omega-Blocked Heatwave is still being measured by the places trying to cool after dark.